She claimed him as her own, but he was the one to choose. The crimson twin suns of Kepler 402b cast long shadows across the crystalline spires of the Zephyrian capital as Commander Jake Morrison stepped off the transport shuttle his boots made, soft clicking sounds against the translucent floor while his eyes adjusted to the alien architecture that seemed to bend light itself. The air tasted of copper and ozone with an underlying sweetness that made his human senses tingle beside him. Captain Lisa Hayes checked her plasma rifle for the third time since landing. Her blonde hair was pulled back in regulation style, but Jake could see the tension in her jaw. They were the first humans to set foot on this world, and the stakes could not be higher. The Zephyrian Empire had been expanding across 3 star systems when they encountered human colonies. The initial contact had been peaceful, but recent intelligence suggested the aliens were studying human weaknesses. Jake and his team were here for diplomatic talks that could determine the fate of both species. A shimmer in the air announced their first contact with the natives. 3 figures materialized from what Jake had assumed was empty space. Their natural camouflage abilities were legendary, but seeing it firsthand still made his heart race. The center figure stepped forward and Jake felt his breath catch in his throat. She was tall even by Zephyrian standards, with skin that shifted from deep blue to silver, depending on the light. Her eyes were large and luminous, holding an intelligence that seemed to pierce right through him. When she spoke, her voice carried harmonics that resonated in his chest. "I am High Counselor Zara Velthane," she said in perfect English. "You are the human delegation we have been expecting." Jake found himself stepping forward before Lisa could respond. Something about this alien woman commanded attention in a way that felt both dangerous and magnetic. "I am Commander Jake Morrison," he replied, keeping his voice steady. "We appreciate your willingness to meet with us." Zara studied him with an intensity that made Jake feel exposed. Her gaze lingered on his face, then traveled down to his hands before returning to his eyes. A slight smile played at the corners of her mouth. "You are not what I expected from the report," she said. Her 2 companions remained silent, but Jake could feel their attention like physical weight. "The humans in our previous encounters were loud and aggressive. You are different." The next few hours passed in a blur of formal presentations and diplomatic protocols. The Zephyrian Council chambers were a marvel of architecture that seemed to exist in multiple dimensions. Simultaneously, Jake tried to focus on the negotiations but found his attention repeatedly drawn to Zara. She moved with fluid grace that spoke of predatory efficiency. When she spoke about Zephyrian territorial claims, her voice carried an authority that made even her own people step back slightly. But when she looked at Jake, there was something else in her expression, something that made his pulse quicken despite every instinct screaming danger. During the first recess, Lisa pulled Jake aside. Her green eyes were sharp with concern. "Something is not right here," she whispered. "They are not negotiating in good faith. Every proposal they make favors them heavily. And that woman keeps staring at you like you are some kind of prize." Jake wanted to argue, but he had noticed it too. Zara seemed to track his every movement even when she was supposedly focused on other matters. Several times he had caught her watching him with an expression that seemed almost possessive. When negotiations resumed, the afternoon brought disturbing revelations. The Zephyrians claimed that human expansion threatened their sacred breeding grounds. They spoke of ancient laws that governed how conflicts over territory should be resolved. "It is simple," Zara announced to the assembled delegates. "According to Zephyrian law, when 2 species compete for the same space, the victor is determined through personal combat. The strongest individual from each side fights, and the winner claims dominance for their entire race." Jake felt the temperature in the room drop despite the warm alien atmosphere. This was not what they had expected from diplomatic talks. "That is barbaric," Lisa protested. "Human civilization does not resolve disputes through individual combat." Zara turned those luminous eyes toward Lisa, and for a moment, Jake saw something that made him step protectively between them. "You misunderstand," she said with dangerous calm. "This is not barbarism, this is efficiency. One fight determines everything. No massive wars, no countless deaths, just clean, decisive victory." Jake felt pieces clicking together in his mind. The way Zara had been watching him, the questions about his physical capabilities, the subtle testing of his reactions. She had been evaluating him as a potential opponent. "You want me to fight your champion?" he said. Zara smiled, and Jake realized he had walked directly into her trap. "I want to fight you personally," she replied. The words sent a chill through the human delegation. "You interest me, Jake Morrison. Your species fascinates me, but you specifically have caught my attention. I claim you as my opponent." The formal challenge sent shockwaves through both delegations. Lisa immediately began protesting the unfairness of an alien warrior fighting a human. The Zephyrian counselors seemed surprised by their leader demanding personal combat rather than selecting a champion. But Jake found himself studying Zara with new eyes. She was tall and clearly strong, but her build suggested speed and precision rather than raw power. More importantly, there was something in her manner that suggested this was about more than just territorial disputes. "Why me?" he asked directly. "Because you are worthy," she replied without hesitation. "Your psychological profile shows intelligence, courage, and adaptability. Your physical assessments indicate you are among your species' elite. But more than that, you treat me as an equal rather than a monster. Most humans either cower or posture. You simply listen and respond." Jake realized that everything since landing had been an elaborate test. Zara had been evaluating not just his combat potential, but his character, his reactions to stress, his treatment of others. She had been choosing him as much as challenging him. The terms were set for the following day. Single, combat in the grand arena with representatives from both species as witnesses. Victory would mean territorial rights to the disputed systems for the winner race. That night in their temporary quarters, Lisa paced like a caged animal while Jake tried to meditate. "This is insane," she said for the dozenth time. "You could die tomorrow, and even if you win, what does that prove? Nothing about human civilization or our right to those colonies." Jake understood her frustration, but something else was bothering him. The way Zara had looked at him during the challenge, the subtle emphasis on certain words, the entire elaborate setup. It felt like there were layers to this situation that he was only beginning to understand. Sleep came fitfully filled with dreams of luminous eyes and shifting silver skin. When morning arrived, Jake felt oddly calm, as if some decision had been made during the night that he was only now becoming aware of. The grand arena was a crystalline amphitheater that seemed to focus light and sound from impossible angles. Thousands of Zephyrians filled the curved seating while the human delegation occupied a small section near the arena floor. Jake could see news drones hovering discreetly, recording everything for broadcast across human space. Zara entered from the opposite side, and Jake breathed caught again. She wore form-fitting armor that seemed to be grown rather than manufactured, and moved with even more fluid grace than before. But what struck him most was her expression. There was anticipation there, and something that looked almost like joy. The combat rules were simple. No weapons beyond natural abilities. Fight until one opponent yields or cannot continue. Victory meant territorial dominance for the winner species. They circled each other in the center of the arena. Jake realized that Zara had been holding back during their previous encounters. Her movements now showed the deadly precision of an apex predator. Her skin shifted through spectrums of color that probably had tactical meaning, and her large eyes tracked his every micro-expression. She moved first, closing the distance between them with inhuman speed. Jake barely managed to dodge the strike that would have ended the fight immediately. Her claws missed his throat by millimeters, but Jake had not survived years of special forces training by being slow. He rolled with her momentum, using her own speed against her, and managed to land a solid hit to her midsection that sent her sliding backward. Across the arena floor. "Impressive," she said, and Jake could hear genuine admiration in her voice. "You are faster than our projections indicated." The fight continued, with both of them testing each other's limits. Zara was stronger and faster, but Jake was more adaptable, reading her patterns and adjusting his tactics in real time. More than once he found opportunities to end the fight decisively, but something held him back. It was not until Zara had him pinned against the arena wall, her claws at his throat, that Jake realized what was really happening. This entire elaborate setup had been a courtship display. "You could have finished this twice already." She whispered close enough that only he could hear her harmonics sending vibrations through his chest. You choose not to. Why? Because, Jake replied, meeting those luminous eyes directly. This was never really about territory, was it? Zara smiled, and for the first time since landing, Jake saw genuine emotion in her expression. You understand? She said, stepping back from the killing position. Among my people, strength is respected, but wisdom is revered. You have shown both today. You have proven yourself worthy not just